This is Natalie Layne, and this is One Small Step for Bandkind. Oh, I love that.
Delta P is plus point 4, and we're going to secure the high gain and give you Omni Bravo.
We are here at Museum of the Bible. Tell me, so she's right in the middle of her day.
Yes.
And so you got to see the Old Testament exhibit?
Old Testament and the Jesus of Nazareth. Incredible.
Old Testament and Jesus of Nazareth. What's one thing that stood out to you about it?
Oh my goodness. It's unbelievable. Just the way to succinctly sum up the entire Old Testament is so hard. How do you even do that?
Yeah.
But I think they pick such pivotal moments. And the very beginning, I love the creation story when they just say, "Let there be light." And it's whoosh, light all around. And it just, I don't know. It just, you feel the weight of that, experiencing it like that. You know? It just is unbelievable. Yeah, to walk through.
The Old Testament exhibit. I was here last time with Matt Redman, Jason Ingram, and Pat Barrett. And Pat Barrett and I did a master class in songwriting. I wasn't.
Did you write a song?
I didn't write a song. No, I was just facilitating.
Okay.
The conversation. But Pat Barrett was talking about writing songs, and so he was talking a little bit about the Hebrew part of it and everything. And so your Old Testament experience here at Museum of the Bible was amazing.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, it's so fun too because it reminds me of in college I got to study abroad in Israel, and it was the greatest experience of my life. So I love walking through and just feeling like you're there again is amazing. And it just, you look back and see the love of the Father through all of those pieces of the story.
Wow.
That's what I take from it.
I love that you said that because you felt like you were in Israel again.
Yeah. I saw there's a big picture of the temple, of the second temple on the wall. And it makes me so excited for the next temple, But then being in Israel at the time we were there, no one was allowed to be in the temple, go on the temple, anything like that. And so I just can't wait for when he comes again and creates that temple. So the story of God is unbelievable.
Yes.
It is
unbelievable.
From beginning to end, when you try and wrap your brain around the whole thing, it's not possible. It's wild.
And how we're living
in the middle.
In the middle of that.
We know the end, but we don't know the middle, and we just get to live in this part and try to trust him as much as we can,
Do you feel like being here at Museum of the Bible has strengthened your personal faith?
Mm-hmm. I think it's just reminded me of that love of the Father throughout the story, because really that's what the story is, right? His love for his people, his love for his son, and his love for us now, and that's the golden thread through the history of it, right? So I feel that here at the museum for sure.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Natalie Layne will take the stage here in the World Stage Theater to perform some of your music.
Yes, can't wait.
Tell me, were you studying piano when you were in Israel?
So I was studying Israeli music, and theology while I was there. Yeah, so I didn't really play the piano much. They don't play those kinds of traditional instruments in Israel, but their vocalization and the way they do melodies is just amazing. So I was there just listening and watching and studying some theology too. So it was amazing.
So now the way that they sort of canter notes a little bit.
Totally.
Yeah.
So how we sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. They have way more notes in between all those notes that they use. So you'll hear the, they have so many more options than we have. And so it's hard to even wrap your brain around what they're doing and how they're using it. But it's so emotional and so spiritual to them. It's such a embodiment of their faith. And so it's amazing to watch and listen to.
What does it look like on the scale? We're seeing flats and sharps and our notes that we make music out of.
Yes.
What does it look like written out in there? Did you see that?
They just have an entirely different notation system, and honestly most of it is auditory for them.
Yes.
So they can write it out, but most of it is passed down through tradition and is not written.
Much like the Word of God.
Much like the word. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Chills.
I know.
Did it just get cold in here? I just got the chills.
Crazy. Yeah. Yeah. It's wild.
Natalie Layne has a master's degree in piano, right?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so
that's crazy to hear you even say that. I never thought I would have a master's.
So many years of
Yeah.
studying,
Yeah.
so few notes,
Yeah.
right?
I like the way you put that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We have 12 notes and yeah.
So tell me, in the how many years was that?
So 6 years. Yeah.
6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Before you go in to get your master's degree in piano,
Yeah.
you are what? Playing keyboards?
Playing keyboard, playing piano, practicing, learning classical music.
Yes.
I was classically trained all growing up from the time I was like 3 or 4.
Wow.
And so, yeah, just love the piano from the beginning. So, yeah, studying classical music, learning how to play in church, playing hymns, things like that. Yeah. And then I knew I wanted to study music and theology together in college. So that's where I went. I went to Belmont University in Nashville and loved it, studying those things together.
Yeah, I feel like theology,
Yeah.
hymns, music
Yeah.
are made for each other.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And I
And-
think we need to have good, solid theology in our music that we're writing as well. So I wanted to have that knowledge, going into writing songs. I think we need that.
Yeah, you also have some great jams. Like right now, Amen is playing in my mind,
Yeah.
And I see you at the piano, and
Totally.
you feel your music, and it can be fun, but some of those lyrics
Yeah.
are deep,
Yeah.
and so because they're with a fun melody,
Yes.
we tend to think it's a fun song.
Totally.
But
Yeah.
it's sometimes
It's
a
deeper
really
than you-
hard lyric to get through.
Totally. Yeah. I love songs like that. I think we need songs like that. Even our upbeat, fun, happy songs, I think if there's not theological depth, then what are we doing? And I love the kind of dichotomy of that, of like, this can actually be a really hard concept with a fun melody or fun chords, or a fun beat behind it. And I think we need to be talking about important topics even in fun songs like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it makes all the difference.
Yeah.
It makes all the difference.
I want it to matter, I want to write songs that matter. And so even that, talking about things that can be hard, but also celebrating the life we have in Jesus, I think is a great thing to do in those upbeat songs too. So we need them both, we need songs of both. Yeah.
Let's go back to your childhood as you're
Yeah.
learning classical music. Did you have a composer that you particularly that you
Love
liked?
them all.
Did you
Yes,
really?
I love Rachmaninoff.
Okay.
I love some of the more kind of romantic style pieces
Yes.
like that. But I grew up listening to all sorts of music. I grew up listening to jazz and gospel music too, and so Kirk Franklin and people like that,
Yes.
were equally as inspiring to me.
Yes, we just said Rachmaninoff and Kirk Franklin.
That's right. Bring them together.
That's so great.
Yeah, so I love so much music, and lots of people inspire me. Yeah.
Yes. Did you spend time getting to know the person of that composer as well, or was it just basically their music?
Yeah,
Or
what we can know about them.
Yes.
There's so much we can't know because they didn't even think to write it down a lot of the time, or you
Yeah.
know. And so many of those older composers were not well known in their time. They were writing and writing and writing, and so much of their stuff wasn't discovered until later. Even recently, we just discovered these new pieces from Mozart that we didn't know existed.
Oh my
And so everyone's like, Mozart's dropping new music 2024. Come on. It's so funny.
what did you
They
think
just-
about it when you heard it?
I'm like, well, we don't know. We haven't
Oh,
heard
we
it
haven't
yet.
heard it
We
yet.
found
Okay.
the sheet music, so we're gonna start
Oh,
playing
we're gonna-
new stuff. So it's
Wow.
crazy. So many of these composers weren't known in their time. Their music wasn't all that well known in their time. So
Yes.
they didn't think to write out their story. But a lot of these composers, from what we know, were very troubled people.
Yes.
And they used music as a way to release all of that. And I think one of my favorite stories is Beethoven. He actually lost his hearing late in his life, and he would kind of try to feel music through the ground, or he would continue to compose and just hear it in his head but never hear the music that he was writing. And so I just think it's crazy how those people pushed through these challenges and the adversity and continued to write because they loved that. And a lot of times they were part of the church. They were writing for the church.
Yes.
And writing for kings and writing for, the church. So I just think it's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe you can confirm it. But I heard that Bach would often find different churches because he felt like there was a certain cathedral height that brought vocal performance to its height.
Yeah,
and so he would find different, buildings or or work with people who were building a higher sort of something that looks like the roof of our mouth in order for us to play in.
I love that. Because they didn't have microphones.
Right.
How were they supposed to, get the sound out to the whole audience?
Yes.
So that was a huge thing back in the time of like, how can we shape these buildings to be the way that we want? And Bach had a lot more influence in his lifetime to be able to work with people that way. More often, I feel like they were hired hands. They weren't like, it wasn't like they could make whatever they want like we can now. We can create whatever we want to create, and it'll find a home wherever it finds a home. Right. They had to create a very specific thing for what they were hired to do. So it's cool that Bach could think like that. Like, for my music to be how I want it, the building has to be shaped like this. That's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And you were talking about the composers, and that we don't have a whole lot of knowledge about their lives. And yet we stand here in this beautiful,
unbelievable. Look at it.
Theater.
It's wild.
That you'll perform and play in tonight.
Yeah.
And the stories that have made us still have Christ available to us.
Yeah.
What a gift.
Such a gift. Yeah.
Yes.
And music is such a gift in that, I just think it's one of God's greatest gifts to us, and the way that he can connect us to each other.
Yes.
And connect us to himself through music is amazing to me. Yeah.
Yes. With Bandkind, our theme verse is Zephaniah 3:17. This is my 30th year in this industry.
Crazy. Yeah.
And people will always say, okay, over the 30 years, who's your favorite singer? And I'm like, oh gosh.
Do you have one?
Yeah, Zephaniah 3:17. Yahweh is my favorite singer.
That's
and
right.
he sings over us.
Yeah.
And just such a proclamation, such a gift in a savior.
I love that so much. He loves music too,
Yes.
It's like so amazing.
And from the Hebrew culture that he was singing all the time.
He was singing, and people were singing at like checkpoints in their lives, like something amazing happened and they would sing, something hard happened and they would sing. So I just think that that's still true for us, we can kind of mark these moments with singing, and I love that we get to do that. Yeah.
I have so wanted to connect with Natalie Layne, and I'm so excited that we did it here at Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. And I know it's going to be an amazing time on stage.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. Can't wait.
Natalie Layne!
You're awesome. That's so fun. You make it easy.
Unless you want to applaud really quick.
Bandkind is with Natalie Layne.